Okay, so let's be real for a sec. How much of your life do you actually spend, like, outside?
Right.
I'm guessing it's got to be way less than the time you spend inside your home, right?
Yeah.
Which is totally normal.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes you wonder, how much does our indoor environment really affect us?
It's one of those things you don't think about it until there's a problem.
Exactly. And to, like, really dig into this whole thing, we're doing a deep dive today, all about the kind of surprising world of indoor environmental quality. And we've got some brand new research to unpack.
Fresh, hot off the presses.
Literally. It's the 2024 Danish Health and Morbidity Survey.
From Denmark.
Yeah, Denmark. And get this, they didn't just look at data from this year. They went all the way back to the year 2000 to see if things have changed.
Which is, that's key for spotting trends, right? Like, are our homes actually becoming more comfortable places to be?
Well, that's what I thought we were going to find out. Picture, year 2000, not exactly known for, like, cutting-edge technology in every home.
Right.
Fast forward to 2021, you'd think, well, with all our fancy gadgets and building materials, we'd all be living in some state of pure indoor bliss.
Yeah.
But get ready for a plot twist,
Mm.
because the study found the exact opposite happened.
It really is, kind of throws you for a loop when you first see it.
So, people in the study were actually more likely to report being annoyed by their indoor environment in 2021 than they were back in 2000.
More isn't even, like, the right word. Some of these numbers are just totally through the roof. Complaints about temperature discomfort, for example, more than tripled.
Tripled. Seriously.
Oh, yeah. We're talking a jump from 5.9% of people reporting temperature discomfort in 2000 to a whopping 25.1% in 2021.
Wow, so more than 1 in 4 people in this study were dealing with temperature issues at home. Okay, so what else were people annoyed by?
Well, imagine this. You're just trying to relax at home, but there's this constant draft just chilling you to the bone.
Ugh, the worst.
Complaints about drafts, those nearly tripled since 2000. And then if it's not a draft, it's the noise. Study also found that noise complaints, those were up too.
Okay, so temperature, drafts, noise, all going up. There's got to be some good news in this study, right?
There is. One thing that actually did get better, water damage in homes, reports of that actually went down.
Interesting. Why would that be going down when everything else is up? Are building codes getting better, or are people just really good at catching leaks these days? We'll have to unpack that mystery later, but for now, let's get back to these annoyances. Are they affecting everyone equally?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, and this is where things get really interesting. This study found a very clear connection between a person's income and how likely they were to be bothered by these indoor issues.
So we're talking like the temperature and noise stuff?
Yep, exactly. People with lower incomes were significantly more likely to say they were annoyed by those two, both in 2000 and 2021.
So this isn't just like a temporary thing. It seems like a systemic issue here. You have to wonder, though, does education play a role? Like, maybe people with more education are better equipped to, like, I don't know, spot problems or find quieter housing.
Yeah, it's a reasonable assumption, one I would have made too. But surprisingly, the study actually found a much weaker link between education level and these annoyances compared to income.
Wow. So it's not just about what, it's about what you can afford to change.
It's that way, yeah.
It really makes you think, like for some people, having a really comfortable home environment, it might not be a given. It could actually be a luxury.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just about being a little too warm or being able to hear your neighbors, though, right?
Yeah.
There's a health and well-being aspect to this whole thing, too.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. If you're living in a home that's too hot all the time or too drafty or, like we were talking about, just constant noise,
Yeah.
that takes a toll on you. It can mess with your sleep, make it hard to concentrate,
Yeah, for sure.
even have long-term health impacts, honestly.
It's not just an inconvenience. It could actually be, like, really affecting people's health.
Yeah, and it really brings up this question of equity, too.
Exactly.
Because everyone deserves to have a home that's comfortable and healthy. It doesn't matter how much money they make, it's about basic well-being.
Okay, so where do we go from here? Like, what can we actually do to address these disparities?
Well, that's the big question, right? And I think one of the first things is to understand why these disparities exist. Why is it that lower income folks are more likely to be stuck with these indoor annoyances?
Right, right.
Well, one thing is that lower income housing, it's often older. It might not be as well insulated. Maybe it's located in an area with more noise just by default.
Right, like closer to a highway or an industrial zone or
Oh,
something.
exactly. And if you're just getting by, financially speaking, are you really going to have the extra cash to put towards better windows or draft proofing or even just running a fan all summer long because your place is sweltering?
Probably not.
It's tough, right?
Yeah, it's like you're stuck. You're uncomfortable in your own home, but you don't have the means to actually make things better. And we already know that that can have those ripple effects on your health, on your well-being.
Exactly. It's not even just about the individual and their circumstances either, though. I think we also have to think about the role of landlords and property owners, especially with rental properties.
Yeah, because some landlords are better than others when it comes to addressing these things.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Some landlords are all about those quick fixes, the cheapest option. And it's like they're not really thinking about the long-term solutions that would actually make their tenants' lives better. That's where I think policy and regulations, they can play a much bigger role.
Right.
Like building codes, for example. Just imagine if building codes were updated so that even the most affordable housing still had to meet certain standards when it comes to things like insulation or ventilation or noise reduction.
You're saying like maybe we need to rethink what we consider to be acceptable living conditions, especially for people who are already struggling financially.
I think it's a conversation worth having for sure.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves to live in a space that supports their health and well-being. It shouldn't matter how much money you have or where you live. That shouldn't be a luxury.
Right, right, absolutely. But like changing building codes and regulations, those are big solutions. They take time. What about the role of architects and designers? Like, can't they be part of the solution too? I mean, they're the ones who are creating these spaces in the first place.
Oh, absolutely. And thankfully, a lot of them, they already are. There's a real movement going on in the design world to really prioritize indoor environmental quality. Doesn't matter if it's affordable housing, schools, office spaces, whatever.
So there's some hope for a future where, everyone gets to enjoy a comfortable and healthy indoor environment. It sounds like we're starting to realize this isn't just about aesthetics or sustainability. This is about social justice.
It's about creating spaces that are truly equitable, spaces that are accessible to everyone, and where everyone has that right to just feel good in their own home.
Which brings us to you, dear listener. I mean, this study was focused on Denmark, but I have a feeling this is something that people can relate to no matter where they are in the world. So I'm curious, for you listening right now, how do you think these findings from Denmark, how do they apply in your community? Like, have you noticed similar trends where you live?
Yeah, it makes you wonder, right? Like, are there certain neighborhoods where these indoor annoyances, they're just way more common? Like, is that a thing?
Yeah.
It's definitely something to, like, pay attention to.
It is. It is. And what about solutions? I mean, are there organizations, are there groups in your city, in your town that are really advocating for better housing conditions? I feel like this episode has given us a lot to think about, maybe even a bit of a call to action.
Yeah, totally. Because, well, you know what they say, knowledge is power, right? I mean, the more we understand these issues and the ways we could actually solve them, the better chance we have of actually making a difference.
Exactly. And maybe it starts small, right? Like maybe it's just a conversation with your neighbor or with your landlord or even with local officials.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we all deserve to live in a home that supports our well-being.
Right.
And sometimes it takes a little bit of a team effort to make that happen.
It really does. It's about raising awareness, pushing for those changes, and creating a future where, where everyone has that chance to live in a comfortable, healthy home.
Couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up our deep dive into this often overlooked world of indoor environmental quality. We hope this episode gave you a lot to think about and maybe even, like I said, a little bit of that inspiration to take action.
Because, hey, everyone deserves a comfortable place to call home, right?
Absolutely. And hey, we always love to hear from you. So if you've experienced these indoor annoyances, we want to hear about it. Share your story. Tag us on social media. Keep this conversation going. And until next time, thanks for taking this deep dive with us.